And with that, I think I'm out of time, so any questions?
What's your sales price for a higher education customer?
So that depends. We have a couple of different models. We try to push people into a site license, but usually they want to do a pilot and a tiering associated with that. So we have a revenue model where we do one of two things. We either do a perpetual license combined with 3 years of maintenance on a classroom per classroom license basis. That's $500, goes down with volumes. Or we can do a maintenance-only model where, in effect, you can tier out and grow as many classrooms as you want, but there's a recurring revenue associated with it. We're still working the details on that, but that's probably closer to $100 to $200 a year.
So how do students get access to the software so their laptops are activated?
Great question. So when you come into the room, there'll be a display host persistent on this display, and it'll have some information on how to connect to the display, an address in effect. And it'll also direct them to our website. And on our homepage, there's actually an option for anybody to download the client for free. So anybody in this room can download the client for free. Won't work without the display host, which is the server component of it. But those students then go into that classroom, they say, oh, I want to use this display. They can go to our website really quick, download it, execute it, and they're connected. And then from then on out, it becomes a persistent application that remains on the laptop.
So do you solve other problems other than the cable issue?
We think so, yes, but what are you kind of thinking?
Well, so a student's at his desk or at a table, and he says, okay, I have a presentation I've been working on. What your solution is, they do it right from their desk and everyone in the room sees it.
Exactly.
Right? So what else?
What else?
I mean, okay, so
use cases?
So now the student, instead of sitting at his desk without this, he walks up to the front of the classroom and plugs in. I want to understand, like, the real problem you're solving and what's the pain, because it's not totally clear to me right now, and I'm liking what I'm hearing, but
right.
I don't hear the pain and the burn.
What's on fire?
Yeah.
So that's a great question. I would actually say that we've become very comfortable with the idea that cables are okay. And so I'd say one of the issues that we face is that there probably isn't quite a fire burning in many cases. But I can give you an example that I had. I was just on an offsite retreat for 3 days this week, locked up in a conference room with a bunch of people trying to figure out problems that were way beyond our capacity. We all had laptops, and we were getting to the point where we were having 10-hour days, and we were literally getting to the point where trying to unplug the VGA cable and plug it into somebody else's laptop so they could show a spreadsheet was reducing the room to profanities because it was just getting so frustrating. It was just one more issue. So I don't think that we solve anything that's completely on fire today, but what we do is we completely change the possibility of how you interact with your peers. On the student basis, yes, it's I want to give the presentation from the back of the class, or I have a question on this piece of code. Let me push it up there and ask the class for help. The professor maybe, and some of the stuff we're seeing in some of our early deployments, might simply want to say, all right, I want to check on everybody's homework. Nancy, Bob, Drake, and just go through the class very quickly. They can push content up, come back, solve it like that.
Thank you.
Make sense?
Hey, have you thought about partnering with someone like Blackboard or Instructure and using them as a means to push your product and maybe even use their system as a server?
It's a great question. In higher education, most of the people I talk to when I mention Blackboard treat it like a four-letter word. They're not necessarily very happy with Blackboard. That said, they are by far the dominant player in the space in terms of controlling, content and access and information exchange outside of the classroom. We've looked at it, and I'd say that we're actually looking closer to some of their competitors for partnering because as their patents are now starting to expire and some of their strangleholds going to go away, we actually want to partner with some of their younger components. But we have looked at it. It's a great piece of insight.
Okay, first, as far as the question on what's on fire, did I understand wrong, or can you put multiple displays on the screen? That's awesome.
Yeah, you can do multiple displays. You can slice it up and duplex one screen, so one screen becomes 4, 5, or 6. I mean, it's a resolution issue, but yeah, absolutely.
So is this completely developed, and where can we see demos and all of that?
It is rolling out into production, so if anybody would like to see demos, just come to our corner at the end of the day. We'll set you up.